For decades, people have blamed their migraines on food, but is it fact or folklore? In this first part, we examine how foods like chocolate, cheese, and caffeine became the villains in migraine discussions, and what science actually supports. Migraines are a complex neurological disorder, and while genetics and hormones play a role, triggers often push a sensitive brain into attack mode. Food is one of the most common suspects, but here's the twist. Not all triggers are causes. When your brain is shifting into a migraine episode, it can go through a prodrome phase, the calm before the storm. During this time, you might crave sweets, feel irritable, or experience neck stiffness. So if you eat chocolate and then get a migraine, did the chocolate cause the migraine? Or did the migraine make you crave chocolate? This confusion has led to decades of food blaming without clarity. But studies using elimination diets and reintroduction testing show some people do react consistently to certain items, especially aged cheese, tyramine content, chocolate, phenylethylamine, caffeine, processed meats, nitrates, red wine, histamines and sulfites, artificial sweeteners, aspartame. The key lies in biochemical sensitivity, meaning your brain may respond dramatically to compounds others tolerate just fine. With this series, we'll look at the evidence-based risks of chocolate, cheese, and caffeine, why they might affect your migraines, who's most at risk, and how to manage them without sacrificing everything you love. Chocolate is one of the most commonly reported migraine triggers. But is it truly guilty, or just caught in the wrong place at the wrong time? Let's break it down. Chocolate contains several compounds that might influence brain chemistry. Caffeine, a stimulant that affects blood vessels and alertness. Phenylethylamine, PEA, a natural compound that impacts mood and blood pressure. Tyramine, in small amounts, but still relevant for sensitive individuals. Flavonols, antioxidants that may be helpful or harmful, depending on the person. What's important to understand is that chocolate is also rich in fat and sugar, which can rapidly affect blood sugar and insulin, both known contributors to headache risk. However, studies are mixed. A 2020 review of clinical trials found that while some migraine patients do report chocolate as a trigger, there is little objective evidence to confirm a causal link. In fact, some researchers believe that chocolate cravings are part of the migraine prodrome, a warning sign of an attack already in motion. Still, there are patterns. Migraine sufferers are more likely to report chocolate as a trigger if they are sensitive to hormonal changes or low blood sugar. Dark chocolate is more likely to be reported than milk chocolate, possibly due to higher levels of caffeine and flavonoids. Those with rebound headaches, from medication overuse or caffeine withdrawal, often react more strongly to chocolate. So what should you do? Track your reactions in a headache journal. If you notice a consistent migraine 12 hours after chocolate intake, it might be a trigger. Watch for combo effects. Chocolate plus lack of sleep or skipped meals may be worse than chocolate alone. Try an elimination test. Cut chocolate for 2 weeks, then reintroduce with no other changes to observe effects. If chocolate is your trigger, that doesn't mean pleasure is off limits forever. You may tolerate white chocolate, carob, or very small amounts of high cocoa dark chocolate paired with protein and fiber. Few things delight the palate like cheese. But for people with migraines, aged cheeses, like cheddar, Parmesan, Swiss, and blue cheese, may come with a hidden cost, a compound called tyramine. Tyramine is a naturally occurring byproduct of protein breakdown. As cheese ages and ferments, its amino acids degrade, forming tyramine. This substance is known to affect blood vessels in the brain, possibly leading to constriction followed by dilation, one of the classic physiological patterns behind a migraine attack. Here's what tyramine can do. It may trigger the release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter that influences blood pressure and brain sensitivity. It can cause vasoconstriction, narrowing of blood vessels, followed by rebound vasodilation, potentially setting off migraines. It interferes with MAO, monoamine oxidase, in sensitive individuals, especially those with low enzyme activity or on MAO inhibitor medications. People with migraines often report that even small amounts of aged cheese can provoke symptoms. What makes tyramine trickier is that it accumulates over time in food, especially if stored improperly. The longer the aging process, or the longer it sits in your fridge, the higher the risk. Common high tyramine cheeses: cheddar, Swiss blue cheese, brie, Parmesan, Roquefort. Other tyramine-rich foods include smoked meats, fermented soy, like miso or tempeh, sauerkraut, pickled fish, some wines and beers. To reduce your risk, choose fresh cheeses like mozzarella, ricotta, cream cheese, or goat cheese. They're low in tyramine. Store cheese properly and consume it fresh. Avoid anything past its prime. Read labels. Aged, fermented, or sharp may indicate higher tyramine. Everyone's threshold is different. Some can enjoy small amounts occasionally, while others are highly sensitive. If you love cheese, don't panic. This isn't about total avoidance. It's about personalized awareness. Understanding your own tyramine tolerance may allow you to enjoy cheese selectively and safely. Caffeine might be the most confusing substance in the migraine world. For some, it's a miracle reliever. For others, a stealthy trigger. How can it be both? The answer lies in dosage, timing, and dependence. Caffeine is a central nervous system stimulant. It constricts blood vessels in the brain, increases alertness, and enhances the absorption of pain relief medications. That's why it's often found in migraine meds like Excedrin or Fioricet. In fact, small doses of caffeine, around 50–100 milliliters, can shorten a migraine's duration if taken early in an attack. However, regular high intake leads to tolerance. Your brain adapts by widening blood vessels and decreasing receptor sensitivity. When you suddenly skip your usual dose, say you miss your morning coffee, your brain rebounds. The result? Vasodilation, increased pressure, and often a withdrawal headache. So caffeine becomes a double-edged sword. Low, occasional doses, gauchers potential relief. Regular, high doses, dependence and rebound risk. Sudden withdrawal, guaranteed migraine in sensitive people. Even worse, inconsistent intake, like skipping coffee on weekends, can destabilize your neurological rhythm, increasing your vulnerability to attacks. Here's how to use caffeine safely. Limit daily intake to under 200 mg, about 112 Oz coffee. Consume at the same time daily to avoid fluctuations. Avoid caffeine after 2 p.m. to prevent sleep disruption, another major trigger. If you want to quit, taper slowly over 1 to 2 weeks, not cold turkey. Watch for hidden sources of caffeine: chocolate energy drinks, pre-workouts, green and black tea. Some medications for those who are sensitive, even decaf, can contain enough caffeine to tip the balance. Always check labels. So, is caffeine the enemy? Not necessarily. Like fire, it can warm or burn, depending on how it's handled. Imagine this. You skip breakfast, grab a mocha with extra espresso, munch on a dark chocolate bar at noon, then unwind with wine and cheese in the evening. Each of those moments might seem harmless, but together, they could create a perfect storm for your next migraine. This is the concept of trigger stacking. Your brain can usually handle one minor stressor, but when multiple triggers pile up, like dehydration, poor sleep, hormone fluctuations, and certain foods, it overwhelms your brain's threshold for stability. That's when a migraine is most likely to strike. Let's break it down. Caffeine withdrawal triggers blood vessel dilation. Tyramine from cheese disrupts blood pressure regulation. Sugar from chocolate causes a spike and crash in glucose levels. Add stress, bright lights, or skipped meals, and your nervous system goes into red alert. It's not just about the food itself, it's about context. A square of dark chocolate after a balanced lunch might be fine, but the same treat after 4 hours of fasting and 5 hours of sleep? That could be a trigger. This explains why sometimes a food only causes a migraine once in a while. Your body might tolerate it on low-stress days, but not when other risk factors are active. The key here is pattern recognition. Keep a trigger tracker journal that includes food, sleep, hydration, mood, and weather. Identify when triggers are isolated versus stacked. Avoid high-risk combinations like wine, plus aged cheese, plus poor sleep. Here's a real-world example. Patient A can tolerate caffeine in the morning, but not after 2 p.m. Patient B gets migraines only when she eats chocolate during menstruation. Patient C is fine with cheese unless he's under emotional stress or dehydrated. Understanding how triggers stack empowers you to control the environment around your brain, not just the food on your plate. To truly understand why chocolate, cheese, and caffeine affect migraines, we need to look inside the brain, where neurotransmitters, blood vessels, and inflammatory signals interact in delicate balance. The migraine brain is different. People with migraines have a hypersensitive nervous system. Their brains overreact to small changes, light, noise, stress, and food chemicals. This is partly due to genetic factors, but it also involves changes in neurovascular tone and neurotransmitter regulation. When certain compounds enter the body, they can alter serotonin levels, which affects mood, appetite, and pain, signaling constrict or dilate blood vessels, triggering the pain cascade. Excite brain regions like the trigeminal nerve, responsible for facial sensation and headache pain, inflame nerve tissues, making everything feel more intense. Now let's map that to food. Chocolate contains phenylethylamine and theobromine, which can increase excitability in the brain. It also mildly boosts serotonin, which is paradoxically low during a migraine, so it might trigger fluctuations that destabilize sensitive systems. Cheese loaded with tyramine, which displaces norepinephrine in nerve endings. This can cause a sudden surge in blood pressure and alter vessel tone in the brain, potentially triggering the vascular phase of migraine. Caffeine, a vasoconstrictor that blocks adenosine receptors. Adenosine promotes relaxation and sleep. During a migraine, adenosine levels rise. Caffeine blunts this effect. Withdrawal, on the other hand, causes sudden vasodilation, which can bring on intense rebound pain. Why do only some people react? It's about enzyme activity. Some people have lower levels of monoamine oxidase, MAO, which breaks down tyramine and phenylethylamine. Others have fluctuating estrogen, which impacts serotonin and vascular response. Genetics, hormonal status, and gut health all influence how the body handles these compounds. So when you ask, "Why can my friend eat cheese and chocolate but I can't?" this is your answer. So, how do you really know if chocolate, cheese, or caffeine is causing your migraines? It's not about guessing or Googling symptoms. The gold standard is the elimination and reintroduction method. It's not a diet fad. It's a controlled experiment for your brain. Step 1. Eliminate potential triggers. Pick one suspect at a time. Let's say cheese. Remove all forms of aged cheese from your diet for at least 14 days. Be strict. Read labels. No cheddar flavor chips, no Parmesan sprinkles. This gives your body time to reset sensitivity and observe any changes. Step 2. Track your symptoms. During elimination, record headache frequency, pain severity, sleep quality, mood swings, energy levels. Use a daily tracker, not just memory, to detect patterns. Step 3. Reintroduce cautiously. After 2 weeks, reintroduce cheese once, ideally in the morning when you're rested and hydrated. Then wait 48 hours. If no migraine occurs, try again in 3 to 5 days. If you get a headache both times, bingo. You found a probable trigger. Repeat this for chocolate and caffeine following the same pattern. Don't reintroduce 2 things at once. You need clear data. Why it works. This approach bypasses guesswork and focuses on your body's individual reaction, not general advice. It's especially helpful when multiple triggers may be stacking, as we discussed earlier. Important tips. Don't test during your menstrual period or high-stress weeks. These can skew results. Keep other habits consistent: sleep, hydration, exercise. You can test lower doses later. Some people tolerate small amounts but not large servings. Testing gives you power. It separates myths from facts, so you're not living in fear of every menu. So you've discovered that chocolate, cheese, or caffeine may be migraine triggers. Now what? Do you give them up forever? Not necessarily. The goal isn't punishment, it's smart substitution. Let's explore some satisfying, brain-friendly swaps that let you enjoy life without fearing your next migraine. Instead of chocolate, If dark chocolate triggers you, try carob, a naturally sweet, caffeine-free alternative. It mimics chocolate's richness with zero stimulants. White chocolate lacks cocoa solids, where most triggers are found, though it still contains sugar and fat. Test in small doses. Cocoa nibs, plus banana. For some, combining small bits of raw cocoa with potassium-rich banana helps stabilize response. Tip: pair chocolate alternatives with protein and fiber to reduce blood sugar swings that can worsen migraines. Instead of aged cheese, skip the cheddar? Try cottage cheese, ricotta, fresh mozzarella, cream cheese, goat cheese, young, not aged. These cheeses are low in tyramine and rarely trigger headaches. Just ensure they're fresh and properly stored. Also try nut-based cheese spreads, like almond or cashew, for dairy-free options. Instead of caffeine overload, if caffeine causes issues but you miss the ritual, try herbal teas, peppermint, chamomile, rooibos, zero caffeine, calming to the nervous system. Decaf coffee. Still contains some caffeine, but a good transition option. Look for Swiss water process, decaf for purity. Golden milk, a warm blend of turmeric, ginger, and non-dairy milk. Anti-inflammatory and deeply comforting. Still want to lift? Try adaptogens like ashwagandha or rhodiola, which support energy without stimulating the brain like caffeine. Bonus tip: magnesium-rich snacks. Magnesium is known to prevent migraines. Try sunflower seeds, almonds, or dark leafy greens with a squeeze of lemon. By making these swaps, you reduce migraine risk without losing joy. The goal is balance, not deprivation. You've come a long way, from decoding chocolate and tyramine to understanding caffeine's double role. Now it's time to build your personal migraine food strategy, one based on clarity, not fear. Migraines are complex. Food is not the enemy, but for many, it's a piece of the puzzle. And when you understand your body's unique responses, you move from being a passive sufferer to an active manager of your condition. Here's how to build your plan. Step 1. Know your brain. Acknowledge your migraine patterns. Are you triggered more during hormonal shifts, sensitive to changes in sleep or stress, prone to headaches after fasting or dehydration? These factors amplify food reactivity. Recognizing them helps you avoid false triggers. Step 2. Journal with precision. Use a headache tracker that logs time of migraine onset, what you ate 24 hours before, stress levels, hydration, sleep quality, weather, or hormonal cues. Over 4 to 6 weeks, patterns emerge. It's your roadmap to relief. Step 3. Test, don't guess. Apply the elimination and reintroduction method from Part 7. Track carefully and note your thresholds. Remember, dose matters. You may handle 1 bite, but not a whole bar. Step 4. Swap, don't suffer. Replace trigger foods with safer options. See Part 8. This isn't about denial, it's about empowered eating. Step 5. Be flexible. Your triggers can change with age, stress levels, or hormone shifts. Stay curious and retest every 6 to 12 months. Step 6. Talk to a professional. A registered dietitian or headache specialist can help refine your plan and prevent over-restriction, which can ironically cause more stress, another migraine trigger. In summary, chocolate, cheese, and caffeine aren't universally dangerous, but they're worth investigating if migraines run your life. Knowledge gives you power. Patterns give you freedom. Now you have a toolkit. Use it to listen to your body, choose mindfully, and reclaim control. 1 bite, 1 breath, 1 day at a time.